There was a time when I couldn't even utter a sentence in English. But now I get chosen by my very big company in Mumbai to host its largest events in 5-star hotels which are filled with leaders and CXOs from different industries. I get to do this not once but multiple times. Not only this, I also get hugely appreciated every single time I get up on the stage. So how did this happen? How did I get so fluent in English? How did I start communicating so well? Well, let's talk. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 4 things that you need to do if you want to learn English, if you want to start communicating in English. I'm going to give you the exact path that you need to follow with my own examples that will convince you that you can speak English and will also give you the how of it. So let's start. The first thing that you need to do is you need to realize what you lack. So what happens is I've seen so many people who do not speak good English but also do not have the tendency to learn it, or who do not realize that they're not good in English. But I think if you want to learn any skill, you need to first realize that okay, you lack this. Because once you realize what you lack, it's only then that you will focus on it and you'll start actually working towards it. So it's okay to accept that you lack something. For me, this realization happened quite early in my life when I was only 10 years old. So I went to a boarding school in Darjeeling then. And before that, I had only lived in Bihar. When I was doing my schooling in Bihar, I did not know anything about English. Nobody spoke in English there. But when I went to my boarding school, every single person used to communicate in English. Even during leisure hours, even during lunch, even during gossips. Nobody spoke in Hindi at all. And that was a big culture shock for me. And that was the point in my life when I realized what I lack. I realized that I couldn't speak English. I realized that I cannot even form a proper sentence in English. While it came as a shock, but it also came as a challenge for me. And I love challenges. Now that brings me to my second point, that is develop what you lack. As soon as I realized that I lacked the skill of speaking English or English in general, I knew that I had to develop that skill. So I started taking steps towards learning English. As I was in a boarding school, the only avenues I had were books and books. We had dedicated library classes where we had to go to the library and pick up something and start reading. Although I was quite young, but the library really fascinated me. So I started picking up few books randomly and started reading. I read a lot of things like Tinkle comics, I read Enid Blyton's novels, and if I'm being very honest, I couldn't even understand half of the things that I was reading at that time. And at that point, if I wanted, I could give up and stop reading novels altogether. But instead, I started moving to thicker novels. I started picking up Harry Potter novels, which grew bigger in size with every next novel that came up. And even when I was reading Harry Potter, I couldn't understand so much of it. But it sparked my interest, and I realized that I like reading. Now that brings me to my third point, that is start loving what you lack. Once you realize what you lack and once you start developing what you lack, you need to start loving what you lack. Because if you don't love something, you won't go deeper into it. For me, what happened is because I started liking English literature, I started liking reading novels. I dug deeper. I started reading more novels. I gradually even started communicating in English. I did make mistakes in the beginning, but I went out of my comfort zone and started speaking in English. I also started loving my English classes. I used to look forward to it. I developed my liking for poetry. I liked Shakespeare. Gradually, I started waiting for English classes. I started waiting for library classes. I started looking forward to reading novels. And that is how I started loving what I lacked. And if you start loving what you lack, you will naturally become good in it. That brings me to my fourth point, that is evolve in what you lack. Now, once you have started loving what you lack, that is English here, you have to now evolve it and take it to the next level. Now, while I was reading a lot of novels and started framing sentences properly, I started, understanding those novels that I was reading, but I still needed to get proper accent, proper communication skills, proper articulation skills, which I still lacked. And for that, I had to take it to the next level. So to learn that, I started watching a lot of video content in English. I started watching English movies because at that time there were not many YouTube videos. But gradually, as the YouTube videos came, I started watching a lot of YouTube videos. And after that, as podcasts came, I started listening to a lot of podcasts. I started listening to a lot of good English in the form of video. So what happens is when we listen to a conversation in English, we learn a lot of things from there. Firstly, we learn the accent, we learn how to articulate, we learn how to exactly put up our point, and we learn how to actually deliver our message. These things are very small but so important when you are communicating in English. So listening to English conversations in the form of movies, shows, podcasts, or YouTube videos, it really helped me evolve in English. And as if that was not enough, I also started creating YouTube videos. So I started my first YouTube channel in December 2019. And although English was not the reason for which I started my YouTube channel, but it helped me immensely. My English communication, my English articulation, my English expression, everything has evolved so much since the time I have been on YouTube. Because on YouTube, you have to talk to a camera. You have to literally talk to a non-living thing. And you have to express yourself. You have to articulate well. Because if you don't articulate well, you will have to spend a lot of time during edits. So you have to try to deliver your message in the shortest span of time. And you also have to make it very effective. You also have to make it very interesting. So creating YouTube videos is something that helps me even today. So if you want to learn English, I suggest you follow these 4 steps first. And at the end, after you have reached the 4th stage, if you don't want to start a YouTube channel, I suggest you start making video content of yours. Like, even if you're not posting it anywhere, just record yourself speaking in English. You can also do it in front of the mirror. But recording yourself is a better option because if you record yourself, you can play it back and listen to yourself speaking. And when you listen to yourself speaking, you can figure out the mistakes that you're making. And that gives you a chance to improve those mistakes. हमें लगता है कि हम सही इंग्लिश बोल रहे हैं, but ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जो हम बोल रहे हैं वो अच्छी इंग्लिश है. And listening to yourself also gives you an idea of your accent. Because हो सकता है कि इंग्लिश तो तुम्हारी प्रॉपर आ रही है, but the accent that you're speaking in is not very polished. So you can work on polishing your accent as well. So that's all that I wanted to talk about in today's video. I hope it was useful to you and I hope you took away something from the video. And if you did, please make sure to hit a like on this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so yet. And I will see you again very, very soon in my next one. Till then, bye-bye, take care.